All right. Which one of you asked for these, huh? Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan. Welcome back to another video here on the channel. Hey, real quick, if you enjoy what you see here today and you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my weekly toy videos, just like this one. All right, look. I don't really like the phrase, nobody asked for this, right? I think that's kind of silly, to be perfectly honest, because there's always somebody that likes something, and that's cool, man. But if there's any phrase that I feel like fits this the most, it is that, because, I don't know, Batman Forever retro figures was just not on my bingo card for new toys we would be seeing in the stores. I mean, Val Kilmer, sure, better than George Clooney, I guess, but Batman Forever is still one of the Batman movies people don't love, right? So it's kind of strange that this warranted this whole like retro toy line resurgence from the folks over at Spin Masters. Like, I'm actually kind of baffled by this. I know that McFarlane has been doing collector figures on those movies, and honestly, I think that's kind of fun. I bought the Batman and Robin ones because I had to have an Arnie Mr. Freeze. But, I mean, are we really at a point where we're going all in with these movies now? Is that where we're at? Is there some sort of anniversary that I'm unaware of? Look, if you don't know what I'm talking about yet, if I'm just sitting here rambling and you have no idea what's going on, Spin Master just released a line called DC Retro, and this first wave is all about Batman Forever. They released some new action figures and a new Batmobile, and a lot of it is inspired by what Kenner did back when these figures were first released for the movie. And that's weird, right? Right? All right, I'm done rambling. Let's go ahead and take a look at these figures, and then we'll meet right back here. Cool? All right, so we got 4 single carded action figures in what they're calling a DC Retro Collection of Batman Forever. I mean, there it is. So these are definitely inspired by vintage style card backs that you would see, though they don't actually mimic the vintage Batman Forever card backs from Kenner, but the figures themselves definitely look like they're trying to be the old Kenner action figures, which is just really interesting to me that they're going this route. So this set gives us Batman, Robin, the Riddler, and my man Two-Face. And it's kind of cool because you can see we've got some really great character artwork at the top of the packaging there. Blister bubble, fully showcasing our action figure within. And if we rotate these around to the back side, you can see we do just have a small cross-cell at the top, large picture of the figure that's in the box you have, the other 3 figures pictured off to the side, and then you can see coming soon, looks like we're going to have some sort of Superman retro line as well. So really interesting stuff here, but let's go ahead and rip these guys open and we'll get a closer look at the figures. All right, so here are the Batman Forever action figures outside of the packaging. If I bring in the tape measure, you can see these figures stand just shy of 5 inches tall, but I do believe they're supposed to sort of be in like that 5-inch scale that the vintage action figures were in. And I mean, honestly, these feel pretty good and they look pretty good if we're putting them in that picture of exactly what they're supposed to be. These are supposed to look and feel exactly like figures that would have been released back in the 1990s. And the quality feels real good on these. I mean, these feel solid like a 90s figure. They have the 5 points of articulation that you would expect them to have in the shoulders and the legs and the head, and all of those joints are tight, and the paint deco is clean. You can see Batman does have a cloth cape on the back, as well as Robin there. It's a bit of a short cape on Robin. It's like a perfect square, but, you know, soft goods cape. Robin's got a bit of a metallic-y paint deco, which actually looks pretty cool with the metallic green, you know, the Robin logo. These look cool if you are into this sort of thing. Now, what I'm curious about is just like how much like the vintage figures these are. And unfortunately, I don't have a ton of vintage figures from the Batman Forever line. In fact, I only have one that's going to be a direct comparison. We're going to get to him in just a bit. This Riddler figure does look familiar, though. I mean, it looks just like the Riddler figure that Kenner gave us. That looks quite a bit different from the way Riddler actually looked in the movie. I do like this little image on the little computer that he's wearing, though, that looks just like his mind drain type contraption that he used in the movie there. And again, articulation functions good. He's a super solid feeling figure there. And here's Two-Face, and this is the one that I can do a direct comparison to. So it's comparison time! So over here on the left, this is the actual vintage Kenner Two-Face figure. I'm a bit of a Two-Face mark, so he is one of the figures I have in my personal collection. So what's interesting is this is the proof that these are not exact copies of the old Kenner figures. They're brand new molds, it looks like, brand new sculpts, but they are definitely trying to look like those vintage figures. One of the big differences here is the vintage one has a handgun molded in the character's hand, where the new one omits that, which is pretty common for modern DC figures. And while a lot of this looks very similar, like, let me see if I can get a good look at these face sculpts. Like, look at these face sculpts. Very similar, totally different paint decos on there. And even some of the paint decos on the figure itself are different. Like, you got the white with the black stripes seen on the flap on this side of the suit, whereas on the new figure, it's just all the same color. You know, some of that deco looks a little bit different on the tie and the shirt underneath there. The hands are totally different over here. The hand on the new figure is gigantic. Like, look how oversized the hand is. It's really interesting. We're also missing the little silver paint deco on the boot on the new one. So, definitely different. The legs do look to be similar. Like, look at that. They are almost in the same stance. So I'm baffled. Like, I wonder if they did kind of copy the original figures and change something subtly. I would really like some actual clarification. I wonder if they're using these old Kenner molds somehow, or if they, like, remolded the vintage figures, or if they just scanned them and did 3D kind of sculpting. Like, that feels almost like what might have happened here, right? Because they're very, very similar. This is wild. I mean, this is just so crazy to me. I can't believe this is a thing. So I don't have this specific Riddler, but I do have this one, which actually looks more accurate to the way Jim Carrey looked in the movie for the most part. This also comes from the vintage line. This is obviously a totally different comparison since they're different, but still, I just wanted to show a vintage Kenner Riddler figure here compared to this new Spin Master one. That's wild, man. So crazy. And I don't know, this just kind of brings up the whole, like, what do we do in here question to me, right? Like, I get it. There is a market for these retro-inspired toys. Heck, I'm one of the guys who loves buying these retro-inspired toys. I've been buying a lot of these, which are the McFarlane DC Superpowers figures, which, in my opinion, are hit and miss. This is one of the newer Batman figures that came out, so I thought this would be an interesting dynamic to show this duo standing next to each other here with this new DC Retro Spin Master figure and a retro figure from McFarlane Toys, just to see what we've got going on here. Boy, the toy aisles are kind of weird in 2025, I'm not gonna lie. But then we come to this, and honestly, this is kind of cool. It's a vehicle, and we don't see a lot of vehicles, it feels like, but I guess that's a little different on the collector realm, but I do really like the retro-inspired vehicles. We've actually gotten several of those in the McFarlane DC Superpowers line, and I kind of feel like that those are the best part of that toy line. So this had me curious. Now, I don't have a vintage one to compare to this, but I do know that vintage Batmobiles are always something that people are after, so I was certainly curious about this. This is kind of what made me grab this whole lineup to get. Plus, it was all fairly cheap. Considering this Batmobile will run you about $30, and each of these figures will cost you just under $10. I mean, it's a very easy line to collect by today's standards. So I am definitely curious about this. We're going to open this and put it together. It also comes with a Batman figure. It's got an exclusive Batman in there. So again, adding even more to the value here. Let's rip this thing open. So just to give you a glimpse of what it looks like inside the box, you can see that for the most part, it's all here and assembled, but we do need to attach some of the fins on there. So let me get this pulled out of the box. All right, let's see how this works. Looks like these will just clip right in on the back there. Yep, they just kind of snap in place. Boom, easy peasy. Looks like we got a piece of tape across the door here that we probably want to take off real quick. There we go. And then we're going to take this big fin on the back, pop that in, snaps in place. Look at that. You can see the Batman figure sitting inside the vehicle here. Boom! Look at that! Look at this Batmobile. This thing is, man, look how long that is. Okay, let's go ahead and bring in the tape measure here. Let me see if I can get all the way to the nose. All right, to the back of the vehicle, you're looking at about 15 inches, but man, this, look at that, almost 20 inches if we're going to this like extended fin here, which is pretty cool. This isn't bad. So I will say it definitely feels like that lighter plastic that we see on a lot of modern vehicles today. Though there is a bit of heft to it, probably given to it by, you can see there's like this translucent blue piece on the inside, which kind of gives it that neat little glowy type effect. I do not believe that this has electronics in it. But it just has this like translucent blue on the inside that is pretty cool. So that does add a little bit of weight to it, but this plastic, you know, it feels like that lighter weight plastic. Feels solid. At least it's not like real bendy or flexible or anything like that. You can see there's got a little bit of flex to it. Look at that. Not that bad though, but see wheels roll on there pretty decent. This is pretty cool though, the overall look of it. So I showed you how that slides forward on the inside there. It looks like we've got just like a seat that's embedded in the inside design. There's a little steering wheel too. It does not turn. That is just solid plastic. So there's really nothing on the inside. It's very, very basic, but honestly, it looks kind of cool. It's a cool looking toy. Definitely has a bit of a retro feel to it, but it does feel more modern than a lot of those vintage Batmobiles did, if that makes sense. All right, and here's these two Batman figures standing side by side. You can see that they are different. It's a different bat suit. It's got more of like a silvery tone to it. You can see the position of his arms are different, probably to look more like he's reaching for the steering wheel. Oh, you know what? I just realized something. I think we have better articulation than I thought. Whoa, whoa, Batman's arms can actually go outwards. I just kind of noticed that joint on the top there. Do any of these others do that? No. Robin is just forwards and backwards. Riddler is just forwards and backwards. So Batman is different. And he does look a lot different. I don't remember the vintage ones having such big chests like that. Maybe I'm wrong. But he does have a wider range of movement in his arms because the shoulders can go outwards. Yeah, you can make the arms go outwards a little bit there. So he can do that. He can do that if you want. So it is more than just forwards, backwards. It's more than 5 points on Batman, but not the others, I guess. All right, so here, this is the other Batman figure. Let's put him in there. This is the black suit Batman. I wonder if this is why the arms are molded inwards. He does seem to be having some issues going in all the way. Like, I can't get the canopy closed. Hold on. Oh boy, he's still sitting a little high. There we go. Okay, so yeah, he fits in there. You got to do a little bit of work. And his head's like way up against him. There we go. I got him laid down in there now. Okay. All right. So I just had to mess around with it a little bit. But there you go. Batman rides in there. He sits in there pretty good, which now makes me curious. Do superpowers work with this? Let's give it a try. I feel like it should. Instead of McFarlane's Batman in there, he looks pretty good sitting in the seats. Just got to be able to get his feet down. Yeah, his ears are... Oh, there you go. You can kind of get him... Man, look at that. We really got to get him laying down in there. Okay, so Superpowers will work too. Check it out. You can see them in there. So if you want to use this with your superpowers figures, if you want like a different looking Batmobile, that's kind of cool. You know what? Honestly, like, this is a really interesting toy line, and I'm saying it specifically because it's Batman Forever, right? But if I'm being totally honest, if they did this with 89 Batman, they did something kind of inspired by the Kenner Batman stuff from that movie, or heck, even like the Toy Biz stuff from that movie, I feel like a lot of people would be really into that. I would probably be into that. It would be cool to get that Batmobile as a modern Batmobile like this. I don't know, but it's still kind of weirding me out that we got brand new retro inspired figures based on Batman Forever. But they're totally fine toys if you're into that sort of thing. Okay, so there you go. There's the new Spin Master Batman Forever action figures. And you know what? They're fine. They are totally fine toys. If you're into this sort of thing, I think you'll dig them. And they're cheap. So it's one of those things that's like, well, I mean, you could get this whole toy line for a good price. It's not really going to break the wallet compared to most things that are out there. It is Target exclusive, so I don't know if that's going to hinder. I was able to find all of these on my shelf, and there were multiples of these at my store. So, but walking in and seeing them is what made me go, this is weird. I need to pick these up because I want to talk about them. So maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem. But look, I showed off the McFarlane Superpowers Batman as a comparison in the video. And that's a retro line that I get. I have my own issues with that line. I've talked about it before. But I think a lot of the stuff there is pretty cool for the most part, and I get it. Superpowers is one of those like beloved form factors, and it was such a good toy line. I don't feel like people say that about the original Kenner Batman Forever toy line. So why is it back? It is so weird to me. But as I threw out earlier on, like if Spin Master did this with the 89 Batman movie, I feel like we would all be all in on that. Like getting a Batmobile in this style based on the 89 Batmobile, getting Bob the Goon and Joker, and like that feels like it would have been exciting. And like, who am I kidding? If they do Batman and Robin, I'm gonna get a Mr. Freeze. I'm gonna get a Mr. Freeze. So I don't know. It's like part of me gets this and part of me doesn't. What do you guys think? Are you going to pick these up? Do you think this is as weird as I do? Are you excited to see what they're doing for Superman? It's definitely an interesting time to be a toy fan because retro is the thing. So many toy companies are doing retro releases, whether you're Playmates Toys and you're just straight up constantly putting out the same old Turtles figures that you have been since the 90s, or you're doing something like McFarlane where you're like making new figures in a retro style. Like, the variety is there, but what's the limit? Is it this? Are we already there? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I don't know if anybody else is going to care about it. I don't know. This just baffled me. I'm probably not going to get any views on this video, but I needed to talk about it because it was so weird. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time.